Hey guys, Growling Anvil Studios here, and I'm really excited. I just got back from Kinderhook. I went out there this weekend and picked up a few things from a barn that a guy had out there. A free sewing machine, which turned out was free, as well as being free, and this sewing cabinet here behind me. I kind of had to disassemble them to get them in the car, and then I reassembled them quickly. I didn't go through them, didn't look through them or anything, so I'm about to do that right now. And I kind of thought it'd be interesting to just sort of document the restoration process, particularly on the sewing machine. I just finished one up, and it was really kind of neat. I learned a lot of stuff, and I thought, there aren't a lot of videos on YouTube about how to restore old sewing machines. I kind of thought it might be a useful thing to do. So let me, I'll show you what I got, and then I'll start the restoration process. It'll most likely be a couple of videos. I'm not good at making videos. I have no idea what I'm doing, so feel free to put all the thumbs down and negative comments you want. I'm not gonna pay any attention to them. But if you're interested in restoring old machinery and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, you might like it quite a bit. All right, so we're in the basement beneath my wood shop. This is the motor shop where various sort of medium and long-term projects go to hang out and await whatever needs to be done to them. This is the take on what I went and found today. It's right out of the barn, which I like. I love antique shops. I love looking at things that other people have done. I certainly enjoy galleries and that sort of thing. But what I really love is going right to the barn that someone has loaded up. You're getting stuff, you have no idea what you're getting. Nobody's been through it, nobody's touched it. You usually get a little better deal if you're not afraid to do some work. And what I really like is you get the opportunity to bring some of these old things back to life. So this upper cabinet was the reason I went out. I have a room planned right in my sewing lab. I'm going to do the walls in a yellow, and I thought this sort of greenish blue, this cupboard blue, looked fantastic on the yellow walls. This is a Belding Brothers and Company. I looked them up, and Belding Brothers is a thread company that had some business in Connecticut and Massachusetts and some other. They actually got to be kind of a big company, just a pile of brothers there. And just looking at it, I love the look of it. It's got the old silverback mirror with a lot of corrosion. That'll be really cool, cleaned up. I'm not going to bother going behind it. I'll just clean the dirt, scrape it, and get it going. It has this pole here that's been removed. You can put a little brass ring in there. Probably this was an escutcheon for a lock. If I had to guess, yep, there it is. So I can go through my bucket of keys and see if I can't find a key for that. I'll show you guys that. Might be in it'll probably be two videos. It'll be a different video for this, and then a video for the sewing machine, which I ended up with having gone out for this, and then he threw the sewing machine in, which I thought was very generous, and I was pretty excited about. So this cabinet looks to me like it's in pretty good shape. These drawers are stuck, which is pretty classic. They're not dovetailed or anything, but they do have this nice old box joint detail where a little finger is rabbited into, or grooved into the side. Gives you a little more glue surface. And what I just noticed is that this drawer has some kind of an old liner in it. So here's a little tip. When you go out and you get furniture, the first thing you want to do is turn every drawer over. A lot of times people tape things to the bottom of drawers, and it'll also give you some information about the piece, which we can go over in a little detail a little later. Here you can see this is, it kind of looks like a nice thin piece of wood. It's knocked down a little bit on the edges, which is nice. So kind of some nice little construction there, but it's lined, so I'm going to get that lining out and see what can be done. I think one of the first things I have to do is set up a camera, like a stand for my camera, so that I can be a little bit further away here as I do this. Here we go. So we just pried up this little cover. and it looks to me like it was just a liner. It wasn't holding anything or doing anything. There's no money or anything under it, but sometimes there is. And we have a little cigar wrapper there. So that's kind of cool. I might clean that up and incorporate it in the piece. For now, I'll just set it aside. And as you can see, we are also we're missing a drawer. And so what I'll likely do is just fabricate up a drawer to fit that. I won't probably reproduce these drawers. I'll probably just do something fun out of old tin, like maybe in red, like a nice red old tin-faced drawer. I think would look nice in there just to add a little more color. And one thing I did notice when I was looking at construction details is the sides of these drawers are numbered. And this one actually says number 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this one says number 6. This one is also missing its bottom, so I'm going to have to make a bottom up for that. But we'll shuffle 6 down. You can see that one of the things I'm going to have to do is pull this cabinet together. It took a shot or a hit or something there, and it's separated. You can see some separation in the right here particularly. You can see some separation there on the bottom, so I'll pull that back over. But for now, number 5. What we got here? Number, well, did I get some light? It looks like 3 to me, and that's the position it's in. That is number 4. So it is actually the number 1 drawer we're missing. It's not actually the last drawer was the one that seemed to be missing, but it's actually the top drawer it's missing. And I see there's a little bit of separation there. Something's going on. It might have gotten racked or something. So I'll get a look at it. Going inside here, we have some little cubby holes, and looks like there's something back there. So I'll have to fish that out. And then there's a little drawer right there, and that assembly looks like that possibly could have had some more drawers in it. So I may actually do up a bunch of drawers. Just out of curiosity, I do wonder if these are numbered, but I don't see any numbers. So anyway, I got some nails in here, some things that have to get cleaned up in here and corrected, but it should be a very cool little keeping chest for sewing notions. In any case, looks pretty neat. I will get that out of the way, and then we can go over the sewing machine. Alright, so the cabinet was what I actually went out there for, and then when I looked up the guy's address, he had sent me a text with his address, but I went back to the Craigslist ad and had noticed another ad for this sewing machine right beneath the cabinet ad, and it was also in Kinderhook. The phone numbers matched up. I thought, well, that's kind of handy. So I called him up, and he decided to just throw this in, which actually kind of made me more excited than the cabinet, because I had thought about doing this video series on restoring one of these old machines. So you can see the cabinet is water stained. The finish is all shot. The veneers are peeling here. They're coming off. It looked like it was in pretty rough shape, but I had to take it apart to get in the car, and I didn't really have time to go through anything. I was there in his driveway and didn't want to spend too much time in a guy's driveway, and then driving home. So I just got back. But he did open it for me when I had to take it apart. Obviously, we opened it up, and I was surprised getting into it that it's not as bad as it looks. I think it's actually going to come back together pretty well without having to re-veneer or anything like that. Sometimes, if these are stored in a moist environment, the glue gives way and the veneer starts to peel off, and it can really be a nightmare. This one actually looks like a good, thorough cleaning, and the cabinet at least will come back. I have no idea about the machine. It doesn't even move right now. But here's the cool thing. Check this out. You guys are really going to like this. I was really impressed. I'm by no means an expert. I have never seen this before. It might be common as dirt. I'm sure I'll get a ton of comments from people that tell me every machine ever was made like this. But I never have seen one. When you lift the lid, I'm going to try to do this while holding the camera. When you lift the lid check this out. The machine just automatically pops out of there. Isn't that cool? And then when you, of course, when you close the lid, it just automatically puts itself to bed. I just thought that was, I'm just over the moon about that. You don't have to take the, you don't have to take the leather band off. I don't think. I haven't tried that or anything, but it looked pretty cool to me. So coming down here, the treadle turns, which is great. It does have a notch in it, so it probably did have some kind of a self-aligning deal. But the treadle turns, and you can see that it is free. Pretty cool. This little thing, this is kind of cool. The front trim, when the sewing machine goes up, this front panel kicks back to give your leg room enough to get in here on the treadle, and it actually moves pretty freely. So I think that's going to not be a problem. This up here, though, let me give you a close-up of this little guy. This is the problem. We've got all kinds of rust on the floor side plates. They don't even move. Oh, nope, nope, they do. This one does. So that one comes right off. Maybe this one comes off. For some reason I find the back ones sometimes are a little more troublesome. And look at that, there's a little spring. You don't see that on the Singers either. There's no little spring like that, at least on the ones that I've taken apart. And you can see the vibrating shuttle and the bobbin down in there. That is completely frozen. That whole mechanism is completely frozen. The hand wheel does not turn at all. So in the scope of this video, and it does have a strange kind of a, I'm guessing that's the clutch. I don't know. I don't know anything about these free machines. So we're going to play with that. We're going to see if we can get this hand wheel moving. But for the scope of this video, I just wanted to show you how I took it out of the cabinet in order to transport it home in the car. And if you go to pick one of these machines up that's in a cabinet like this, even the more modern ones, it's not a terrible idea to take it out of the cabinet, because then you can take care of the head. You can put the head, you know, separately in the car or the truck or whatever, and not be banging around in the cabinet. If you're moving it in a truck or a trailer and you can just load it on and strap it down, it'd probably be okay. But I really, really, really do not like letting the heads just hang in there and thump around. So without further ado, I'll show you how to do that. Usually there's some kind of a catch. The catch on this one is right here. You just depress that button, and okay, so you push that button, you can see it releases that catch, and then the whole head will swing back over, and they will sit there. They'll just sit there, so you don't have to worry about taking them off. Is really laid back. There's really only two things to watch for, and I will show you those two things. All right, so thing the first, right down in here, you can see this that little post right there above the glare of the light. And that little post right up under this horizontal rod, if you look right where the light is now, I'll take it out of the way, and there's a little slotted screwdriver. So there's one of those on both sides. That one you can see really well right there. And there's a little post that sits on this swivel up inside this lug, and that set screw is what holds it there. So we're going to remove these two set screws. Now, as with any old equipment, you know, when you have a set screw like that for any sort of length of time, it can get really stuck, and you know, it can be a problem to get out of there. So what I do is, and I'm sure that everybody but the electricians will just go crazy with this right now. What I do is I put a little screwdriver in there. This is a very fine bladed Klein screwdriver, and then I just tap with a hammer on back. Now remember, I'm out in a barn, I'm out in the field, so I just have a little kit with me. I'm not in my shop with everything nice. All kinds of, you know, 3 sizes of impact wrenches and everything. You can't carry everything with you, and so I make do with what I have. And the electricians out there will know that they just do about everything with their Klein screwdrivers. Boy, they knock out knockouts. They're hammering on them all the time. They're fantastic screwdrivers, and they can take it, and you're not really beating on it. You're just giving it light taps as you turn it just to keep it seated in the slot. Save those screws, don't lose them, because they go, they go in those lugs. You could remake them, but why bother? Just save them if you don't tear them up. And if you're tapping in there, you won't tear them up. Now, I already took this apart to get it in the car, so I already tapped on them and got them moving. I can show as we go. There'll be plenty of opportunities to show you that, but if you have an impact driver, sure, go ahead and use it. But you also don't want to get carried away, because your machine is, while they're fairly rugged, you don't want to damage them. All right, so both of the screws are out now. The head obviously will not just lift off. It probably will now, because I already took it off. Sometimes some very light tapping on the lugs, which I don't like to do at all, because you could gall something or mash something over. What I did was use a pry bar, and the back piece here is wooden. So I would put a like a flat scraper down, putty knife, something like that, to wash out the pressure from the pry bar if you have to. I had a wide pry bar, and it lifted right off of there. So I'll show you that. We'll get that off of there and set it aside. Okay, so I've got a nice wide pry bar here. It's wide and thin, and basically all I did was, I'm watching the machine, not the camera. I'm sorry guys, I'm not going to sacrifice the machine for a better video. I'll do the best I can here one-handed, and I promise you I'll rig up a camera stand pretty soon. And then with gentle pressure, see that come up? Now I want to go one side and then the other side, because we're coming up. We got two parallel posts here, and we can't swing up in a tremendous arc without binding one of the posts. Boy, if you don't quite know what I'm talking about, alignment. As I lift one side of this, it's lifting in an arc, and you don't want to pry it in a big long arc. Okay, so you set this down. And I think you can see, hopefully I'm leaning my phone on the crowbar right now, so hopefully that won't be a problem. I just pried a little bit. I'm just going to put my hands under here and just gently rock back and forth, and it'll come right off of those lugs. There we go. So we can set that aside. And now you can see inside the cabinet. One thing that did happen when I reassembled this cabinet, when I got home, one thing that did happen was these little posts now flopping around. One of them flopped up and got under this piece of wood. And so it flopped up and got under this piece of wood, which will make sense if I lift this lid. You see how it folds like a scissor. So one of them flopped up and got under that piece of lid, and it wouldn't let it lift. And so, if something like that happens, don't force it. Just look around. You don't want to ever force something. In fact, I don't even like that squeak at the end of this throw here. I'm going to oil that up, and you can see that it was sticky at one point in its history, and someone split out this little piece of veneer. So I do have one little piece of veneer to repair, but as of right now, that's the only missing veneer I see. The laminate's peeled up on both sides, on the low sides, but that's the only missing piece that I see. The decals have all turned silver, which does happen with age. They're gold decals. I do not know. I'm going to have to research and see if I can find free decal sets. There are tons of Singer decal sets. I don't know about the frees. If anybody knows of one, you could feel free to put a comment in there, and I'll check it out. Or if you sell them, I'd be happy to buy a set. Otherwise, if it doesn't clean up well, what I might do is just hand pinstripe it and see what happens. One thing I do like that I'm really going to try to restore, though, this stinking table has a ruler painted into it. I just think that's fantastic. The whole front edge, so when you're measuring fabric, you can just go right up to that front edge. All right, so let's take a look here. In the drawers, we have this first drawers. These were kind of sticky. This looks pretty cool. There are these spaceship needles, which I've never even heard of. I'm gonna have to look. There's a ton of. This is one of the really fun things about this vintage stuff, is looking all these things up. You know, rust proof. And as I look at them, you know what? These stinking needles are as shiny as can be. So spaceship, you guys weren't BSing, man. You weren't BSing. Rust proof indeed. Here's another little pack of spaceship needles, and let me look. Of course, I don't know that all of the needles in here were spaceship. That one does look a little rusty, but it might not be a space. It could have been anything that they put in there. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then we've got Magic Tab zippers. Be interesting to see if these still work. I don't see why they wouldn't. Little trouser zippers. A couple more zippers. Pile of buttons down in there. This little box is buttons, needles, a double-edged razor blade, a little tie, some more needles. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, drawer number 2. Drawer number 2 has this is the part I was excited about the whole ride home. I just wanted to get into this thing and look and see what was in here. Drawer number 2 has all kinds of threads. Thread may or may not be good, guys. One of the things that happens with thread as it gets old, it gets brittle. This, to me, looks like, see if I can get my camera to focus, a stitch sample that was likely made with this machine. I don't know why someone would have a stitch sample from another machine, and it looks like the tension was off. Looks to me, from one side to the other, that brown stitch on the right looks pretty good. When I flip it over, the brown stitch, the bobbin tension, looks like the bobbin tension was too high, or the top tension wasn't high enough, one or the other. But it shouldn't be a straight line on the back. It should be a row of stitches on the back as well. So that might be an indication of why this thing got shelved. Maybe they were having trouble with it and they stopped using it. Or, you know, it could just be that it's a treadle machine. There aren't a lot. The last real treadle machine I saw being used was in Geneva, New York, like, you know, probably 20 years ago, by an older woman who was living there. A whole strip of embroidery, floss, heavier threads here, seems like to me. This thing, which I don't even know what that is. That's probably like a hem weight or something. I'm just guessing here. I don't know. Guys, feel free to lambaste me in the comments, because I got no idea what that is. Some kind of a hem weight. It's heavy. And we have a little spool of heavier thread, and this is kind of cool. That is a pulley cover, which goes on the that goes over top of the balance wheel pulley. So that's in there for some reason. Nails, screws, clips, another spool of thread. You know, general detritus from years of sewing. This bottom drawer was pretty stiff, and rather than pull and yank and damage it, what you want to do is reach around to the back and just scooch it a little. There we go. And it kind of looks promising. I'm hoping this is maybe some attachments. I don't know what that is. Let's get that open and see. Oh, nope. More buttons. So I don't know. There might not be any attachments. I don't know what attachments free came with. I don't know anything about the free machine, so we've got some research to do. Here's another little box. This little box contains more buttons. Man, oh man. And looks like some more embroidery floss, a little cloth, some hair clips, heavy strings. Now for this side, this one is really damaged, so I'm definitely going to scoot that from the back. And this, oh yeah, see that? I don't know if you can see it. Let me get it out so you can see it in the light. The light in here is kind of poor. Oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, that is a bobbin rack. So on these vibrating shuttle machines, they don't have a regular bobbin. What they have is a long bobbin. So that's pretty cool. That's what those are there. Those are bobbins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's probably one in the shuttle, if I had to guess. There's a foot. Look at that. So we got at least one foot in here. A little screwdriver. Got some thread. Got to remember to keep looking through the camera, guys. Apologize for that. I'll get better as we go, I promise. Just hang in there. Some seam tape. Got an old Bic pen. That's Taylor's chalk, if I had to guess. More thimbles. I'm always looking for. There's never been a guy over 6 feet. There's never a thimble that fits me for quilting. Let's see here. Pair of pliers. Not the coolest thing in the world. Boy, if I ever run across, they make a tool just for nipping the belt and piercing the hole that the belt clip goes in on these for the round leather belts. If I ever found one of those, I'd be over the moon. But that's not what that was. All kinds of buttons, catches, a little bit of chain, detritus from years and years of sewing. All right, 2 more drawers. I'm going to go after the top one. And then the middle one, middle one's really stuck. So again, oh my gosh, look at all that thread. Oh, the back scooch. I did look when I reassembled it, but I didn't really take a look. That's cool. Some of it might be useful. There's a little screwdriver in here. I doubt it. I doubt that it came with the machine. They may have been, the type that would have come with this machine would have been just a wire handle, just a loop wire handle. And there we go. Whole box of threads. This is really kind of cool. That is an old soldering wire spool that someone wound thread on to make a giant spool of thread. Pretty cool. And this is cotton, beautiful red. Probably not much strength to it. I can go through and test strengths and stuff later. And the last and final drawer has some elastics, more buttons, and it kind of looks like, no, I guess not. I thought for a minute when I saw, all that plated steel that we were getting into more attachments. So it doesn't look like there are really any attachments, just a lot of buttons and even some old fuses. Actually, though, my metal shop uses just these type of fuses. So there we go, guys. There's the machine with the drawers out. The machine head off on the floor there. Again, nothing turns, nothing moves. I'm going to get it up off the floor. Just it's not picking up a ton of excess moisture. And while we have it here, let me turn it over and I'll show you the guts of this vibrating shuttle type. That spool pin is likely removable or should be removable, so that I'll have to get out. I'll have to free up the needle bar. All that stuff is frozen. Everything on this machine nothing will move. But when I look under here, and this will let you know why we're storing these, they're such candidates for restoration. That's it. That's it, guys. And if you look, that is still as shiny as the day it was made right there. There's very, very little that can go wrong with these, and what can go wrong with them, you can generally make pieces parts. The shuttle and the bobbin. Even the bobbin you could make fairly easily. The shuttle is probably something you don't want to get into. That shuttle, I don't know if you can even see it. There it is. It's that assembly there. Is the shuttle that holds the bobbin, that little point on the end of it. I'm trying to get the light right so you can really see that point. I may have to get there. You can kind of see it. Anyway, that point is what enters the loop of thread. That little pointed portion right there. So when your needle goes down in, comes back up, leaves a loop of thread, and that point goes through the loop, and that shuttle carries the bobbin thread. So you can see all kinds of thread wound around this thing, and just lint. It just wasn't cleaned for the last, gosh, probably a year or two of its life. That is all lint from sewing. All lint from sewing. So all that's got to get vacuumed and cleaned out of there. And then I will soak all of the parts with penetrating oil and try to rock it free. See you next time. By the way, guys, I realized after I got all done filming that I had left you hanging there. It was a file handle. That's what was in that little cubby, this little file handle. So as it's sitting in what you can see is the motor shop, this little file handle is in the right place. I'll probably just leave it here in the shop.